Hi, you're with Scott. This is Battery Exhausted, my vlog. It's midnight, it's always midnight. This is your right ear, this is your left ear. I'm going to try and keep this simple and straightforward because I'm feeling a little lightheaded. Hello Ramadan fans. I haven't eaten or drunk anything all day. It's now 8 o'clock. So I'm just going to try and keep this simple. In this video, I'm going to sit here and in a very gentle ramble, I'm going to explain how to be a vegan, how to become vegan. This is in response to a request in a comment. So here's the video. I'm pretty aware that yesterday I made a video about Islam and spirituality, and people are going to have lots of different ideas and opinions and stuff, and maybe I'll come back to answering Islamic specific comments in another video. I want to make it clear, I'm not going to take all the time in the world to answer comments typey, because I feel it lacks context when I'm getting typey. I've talked about this before. So I will be answering comments in videos. The videos won't come the day after you make the comment, and it may be that I don't get to answer all the comments, but I'm going to be attempting to answer comments in videos and requests by making videos. That makes sense, yeah? Okay. So apologies if I don't get to your comment, or if your request or comment doesn't come up for a couple of videos or a couple of days. The anachronistic way I'm making the videos at the moment means that I'm not going to see a comment and immediately vlog it. So don't worry about it, you know, it's coming up. Like this video, which is about how to be a vegan, and that's coming up in this video. Okay, first I'm just going to tell you what I've been doing today. Vlog. So today is day 2 of Ramadan, and last night I ate loads. I'll tell you about that later. I got up midday-ish, not too early, not too late. I walked the dog in the hot sun with my sister and the puppy. It was a bit of a slog, but I got it done. And then I came back and I sat down, set up the computer, and I basically just sat here and edited the whole day. I got an electronic press kit for a client, Mimi Detroit. I've talked about it in the vlogs before. So it just needed finishing off. I went and shot some live footage last weekend, and I really should have had it finished by now. So I'd selected all my shots and I'd cut it all down into different bits and pieces. I just had to rework it into the EPK. So I've done that now, and I've colour graded it all. It did take a bit longer than I thought it would. These things always do. And I did approach it a couple of times last week, and I've already, you know, put some pieces in. So it got done basically, yeah. I would like to show it to you, but I feel because it's a client, they should have the decision on whether it goes on my public informal films page. I've done a lot of work for other clients where I just haven't put their video on my page because, like, it might be a wedding or whatever, and I feel it's personal to them. With this, I think it will end up on the informal films page because I'm really happy with it. I think it's really good. And it's important that I keep updating the informal films page with work that I've done, because otherwise it looks like I don't do any. But maybe in the future I will cut a show reel, because that's what people do. I don't know. Seems like a lot of hard work. And every project I do, there's 1 or 2 shots that I think they're really lovely. I really like those shots. But if I were to go back over all my footage and trawl through it to try and find them, and then put them all in a folder and then make it, you know, it's a whole job to do, and I've got other stuff to do, haven't I? Excuse me, I've got a dry mouth. I feel a little bit lightheaded. I said I was going to keep this simple, didn't I? So anyway, I've been editing all day, and it's good because although I needed to get up and break and walk around a little bit every now and then, by concentrating on one thing, and you know how I work when I edit, like, it's like I've got ideas that I'm juggling and the plates are spinning, and I need to keep focused on it and sort of stay in the mindset until it's done. I've still got an hour and a half before I can eat. So now that that's finished, what should I do? Well, more work, I think, and being able to constantly, get back into the okay, I've got to do this. Let's do the editing. Come on, all day has helped with the Ramadan effect. The feeling hungry and the dry mouth. Just focus on work. So that's helped. And in the next hour, I guess I'm going to edit this video. I've got some stuff that I said last night about how to become vegan, and I've got this that I'm saying on the camera now. Let's put them together, get it in the computer, get it up on the internet. Deal? Okay. Hi, you're with Scott. It's midnight. It's always midnight. This is battery exhausted, my vlog. This is your right ear, this is your left ear. It's actually coming up to 2:30 in the morning. I was just feeling quite serene sat here. I've just uploaded last night's video. A little bit worried that there might be some potential backlash, because Islam does seem to polarise opinion, and some people have got some funny ideas about it, in my opinion. So this isn't a reply video to any reaction from that. Because there hasn't been any reaction to that yet. But what I wanted to do was to address something directly that had been asked. So this, strangely enough, I often think that my videos are like the idea behind a video. This is a video deconstructed. This is the video about how to become vegan, and I could probably do So I often feel that I could write a script and shoot different bits and pieces and edit it together and make a more media friendly piece. And that might be quite a good idea with something like how to become vegan, because it might reach more people more easily. And so I can always come on and do that in the future. Making a video like this doesn't preclude me doing that in the future. But this is the easiest and quickest way to transmit the message. So I haven't made any notes. I've got a cat trying to get out the window. I've got to do a video about pets and veganism. But this is, in order of priority for these requests anyway. So I haven't got any notes, but I'm going to sort of talk around the subject a little bit. Firstly, I think how to become vegan is the first thing you do is to make a decision to become vegan. And I think the first thing you need to do is decide why you want to be vegan. Whether it's for ecological reasons, for health reasons, for ethical reasons. It has to change in your heart. Firstly, it's important to understand what veganism is. Some people say it's a lifestyle, some people say it's a diet. But the truth is, it's an ideology. An ideology is a collection of ideas that inform your behaviour. So veganism is an ideology. I'd like to say this right at the start. Veganism, like anything, is a process. Life is a process. You're born, you grow old, you die. Trees are a process. Seeds, trees, seeds, trees. As people, we process fluids, oxygen, the atmosphere, air. it's interesting the way that everything is a process, and your behaviour is part of a process. So I think it's really important to note right at the start that whilst certain ideas might seem to fall into place and a way of looking at the world can change quite quickly, when you start looking at the world through the vegan prism, things can look a little different. Or maybe removing the prism that's already in place of social norms, marketing. When you remove that, the world can look a little different. But your behaviour doesn't have to change overnight. Certain things might. Certainly you might feel compelled to stop eating animal flesh. You know, it might be an overnight thing for you, but for many people, a change in diet like that is a process. So don't feel that you have to do it immediately, overnight, tomorrow. Just be aware that you're on the journey as of now. So that's important to start with. So veganism is an ideology, and I think the best place to start with anything like this is education, is knowledge. Knowledge is power. Freedom is slavery, war is peace. Always peace. They're all slogans from 1984, for those who spotted. But education is important, you know, learning about... It's quite strange because veganism seems to be the result of education. The more you learn about the world, the ecology, the truth of how humanity's actions are affecting the world, the more you come to realise that a vegan lifestyle and diet is a more humane approach, a more modern approach, a more healthy approach. So by doing some research and finding out more, I could direct you to the Vegan Society. They've got a lot of interesting articles, or just type vegan into Google. You know, there'll be loads of people like me on YouTube talking about it. There's loads of articles. Whichever way you choose to engage with education and knowledge and find things out, the more you do, the more that's going to inform your ideology and your behaviour. So that never stops. You never stop finding out new things about the world and using them to inform the way you behave. So that's, I think, step one. Ding, we'll put a number one, ding. Learn about the ideology. And which facets of the ideology do you agree with and want to implement in your own lifestyle, and which facets maybe, you know, you don't agree with. Some people have different opinions on things within veganism. But I think certainly deciding in your own heart whether this is a lifestyle choice based on health, because you think that because the truth is the processed flesh and the cooked flesh does cause cancer, or whether you want to be more athletic or more, whether it's for going to the gym and being healthy in that sense, or whether for you it's an ecological perspective, that you're doing it for the good of the world in general, so that everyone can be fed, so that greenhouse gases are lowered and CO2, and so that water is not wasted, for all those sort of reasons, you know, then that could be the core of your veganism. It could be a part of it. Or if it's purely about the animals, or if the animals are the main part of your veganism, that you don't want to see them tortured and slaughtered, then that could be your core value. Or it could be a blend of all three, you know. There are other reasons to be vegan as well. So you've got to decide what your beliefs are. you know, what your reasons are. So that's the first most important thing. Learn about the ideology. And then the second step, I guess, I don't know how many steps they're going to be. I don't think you ever stop learning and progressing and developing. So we'll say number 2 is make a change. And that could be, it could be that dairy has been the avenue that you've discovered veganism through. The alternatives like soya milk or oat milk or almond milk, that you might have seen them and thought, wonder what that's about, and then thought, oh, you know, I wonder why I should have an alternative to dairy, and then, you know, you've looked into the lactose intolerance and things like that. You know, it might be that's your avenue, so that's your first change. Instead of having cow's milk, you have soya milk. Make that little change. For most people, the first flesh product that they discontinue consuming is usually what they call red meat, red flesh, cow flesh on the bone, because it's so viscerally, clearly part of an animal, and it's one of the things that you have a cognitive dissonance when you're a flesh eater. You hold this cognitive dissonance in your mind that, I mean, we've got words for animal products like beef instead of cow, because, you know, it makes it easier in our minds to hold this two conflicting ideas that I love animals and I'm going to eat them, you know, to keep them both in your mind. So for most people, it's that sort of red meat that goes. And then it might be chicken. A lot of people progress from a carnivorous diet to a pescatarian, fish and other foods, and then they move down to vegetarian. I'm saying down, there's no up and down about it. They move to vegetarianism, so they stop eating the fish next, and then they move to veganism as they cut out dairy and other, what I'm going to call false friends or hidden, you know, foodstuffs that happen to contain milk, like a lot of crisps do. So it's a progression, and for you it can be any kind of progression at all. It doesn't have to be that order that I suggested, but that seems to be a workable order for lots of people. And that progression doesn't have to take any particular amount of time. You know, if you feel comfortable going through it in a short space of time, then go ahead. And for me, it was months, I'd say, each stage. And I still ate fish, but I'd cut out all the dairy at that stage. So I did it in a slightly different order. So step 2 is make a small change. And then step 3, 4, 5 is continue making small changes. And what I've found is that as you get used to one small change, like no more red meat, flesh, or soy milk instead of milk, it becomes easier to make the next change once that one change is settled in, embedded in, and becomes more normal. So rather than changing everything in my fridge at once and throwing away a load of stuff and going to the supermarket and not knowing where to start shopping, I just made small changes, and eventually everything had changed. So that's steps 4, 5 and 6. The steps, I think, repeat in waves. I'm going to talk about waves a lot, I feel, in upcoming vlogs. I've said it before, sound moves in waves, light moves in waves. I just said at the start of this video, everything's a process, and that moves in waves. I think the move between education, research, information gathering, processing, and making changes, I think that goes in waves as well. And I think there's quite a lot of obvious stuff, almost like the breakwater moment when you become veganism. There's a flood of things that are quite obvious, like milk, foodstuffs. And then I think there's a second wave. So you make these changes, and then there's this wave of research and education when you're becoming vegan, you're becoming interested in it, and you're learning more. Maybe your clothing, maybe your makeup, maybe hair products, maybe cleaning products. You learn, and then there's another wave of change, and then you learn more, and then there's another. So keep that wave going, and before you know it, you'll be fully vegan. Yeah. I say that ponderously at the end because I don't think any of us can be fully vegan in a society that almost enforces certain things on us, like transportation. You know, transportation does damage the ecosystem and is so important in our lifestyle. I mean, I drive a car, and I don't think driving a car is pure veganism. What's interesting is every time you go on this wave journey, there's more people going on the same journey. And I think one of the later steps, or it could be one of the earlier steps for you, is to go and meet people who are vegan, maybe at a vegan fair. Check out my video, and establish new relationships with people who you can learn from. And that wave and the number of people who are becoming vegan is increasing. So yeah, that was an important part of the wave for me as well. I did spend some time with people who were vegan. I did get kind of immersive in it for a little while. I went to Italy and spent some time. Pretty much all of it was vegan time. I met the founders of Animal Equality in Italy, the Italian chapter of Animal Equality, and they were, pretty. What's the word? I don't want to say hardline because it makes it sound aggressive. But they were very well educated and opinionated vegans. So a lot of my questions were able to be answered, straight away, which was cool. And new things that I hadn't thought of were brought to my attention, which was also cool. So yeah, I think one of these parts of this wave, as you learn and change, is to engage with people who already live the lifestyle, already understand the ideology, so that any questions you have can be answered. And I'm one of those people. If you want a question in the comments, I'll try and make a video about it, which is how I'm making this video, because someone asked me how to become a vegan. So I'm doing my best to explain how I think that's done. And that's it. That's it. There's no magic. There's no... there's a little bit of willpower at the start in making a change, like any change in life. But it's always easier when you can imagine the benefit. So sometimes I was thinking, I would quite like to eat XYZ that I used to eat. But then I think, for me to have that little bit of pleasure, that chocolate bar or, that whatever it is, an animal has to go through all that suffering. And I can quite easily give that up. I can quite easily say, well, no, I won't have that. But if I have it, like all that suffering goes on. It doesn't seem like, in balance, my suffering, not eating a chocolate bar, versus the animal suffering. I'm not suffering a whole lot versus what happens to animals. So I just, every time I had that, it's a bit difficult moment, I just thought to myself, well, this isn't that difficult. I could be being skinned, Sorry to say something so graphic, but I could be, if I was an animal and I looked at a human thinking, well, should I eat the chocolate or not? And I didn't have the willpower to say no based on the fact that me, the animal, was going to... You understand what I'm saying, don't you? You see what I'm saying? My suffering is nothing compared to the suffering that goes on in the world if I make those decisions. So I make the decisions the other way. So yeah, maybe the last point is be strong and have that ideology in your mind as a motivation when it's difficult for you, or when you feel that a craving, or when you feel like you're going to slip off the vegan wagon. Just imagine all the good you do by being vegan and all the suffering that goes on because people are not. And that helps me. So be strong is one of the points. Explore is another top tip. Explore. And by that I mean you're kind of used to going to the same shops and buying the same sort of foodstuffs, the same, routine shop. And as you become vegan, that's going to change. And so it won't just be the things you buy that will change, but the places you buy them from. And at the moment, it is more difficult to find ethical vegan suppliers. So you've got to explore a bit. And that means maybe going to the next town, or doing a bit of research online. And through that process of exploration and discovery, you will eventually find places. Rather than having to go to a restaurant and just have the chips, you'll find the places that cater for vegans. And it might be that you enjoy that process of exploration and discovery, but it might be that you find it difficult because you're so used to doing the same sort of routine things. So, top tip, put your explorer's hat on and be happy to go out and explore. Enjoy it, enjoy the exploration. And do some research about places that cater to vegans, because you're going to need to know. Top tip number, whatever it is about substitutes, substitute foods. When you first make the transition, you're kind of used to looking at your dinner plate as meat, inverted commas. I always say flesh, so flesh, vegetables. Like, the animal is the main part of the meal. My friend the other day said something, he said, no meat, no meal. And that's kind of a way of thinking, a thought trap. But so in the early stages of your veganism, you're probably going to enjoy the meat alternatives, the burgers that are not made of meat, the chicken nuggets that have got no chicken in them. After you progress for a while, maybe, for me, from my experience and an experience I've seen in other vegans, is after you progress for a while, you shake off that idea about animal product being the main part, and you start to enjoy vegetables more, and you start to appreciate them more. It sounds silly, but it's true. And they become the main part and player in your meals. And the meat substitutes seem less appealing because you don't want to eat animals. So having something that has the same texture as an animal, it doesn't appeal to you after a while. But certainly in the early stages, the substitutes can be really handy. And me personally, I still really enjoy a burger, and it was one of the things that I got cravings for a lot as I was transitioning out. So the meaty style vegan alternatives in burger form is something I still enjoy. So yeah, that substitution. Instead of having the craving and ending up at McDonald's, I get the craving and I have a substitute, which is actually, these days, the substitutes, the meat style things, are actually pretty good, if not better in quality than some cheap meat products, flesh products. So, top tip, get the substitutes in. But that tip moves into start appreciating vegetables. There really is a world of exciting flavours and tastes in the vegan diet, and it goes back to that other point about exploring. You might have to reimagine the way you think about cooking up a few different things, visiting a few different places and getting a few different ideas is going to be good. But personally, I haven't dramatically changed the way I cook and eat. I still eat pasta dishes, I still have roast vegetable dishes, I still have my soups. I even still have my junk food, stuff I whack in the oven with chips, like vegetable fingers and that sort of business. I have vegan pies, so I have a roast dinner with a pie and roast veg. Yeah, I haven't had to dramatically change things I eat. But I've also picked up a few new tricks. I don't have to explain that any more than that, do I? I was going to go on a long wordy one, but that just is that. So I hope this video helps. They're my top tips on how to become vegan. I'll reiterate the main point. It's a process, and you're not expected to wake up tomorrow and have changed everything in your life. Nor are you expecting that in a year's time you're going to be super vegan and your journey would have stopped. I'm still learning. You know, we've got to address the pets issue, haven't we? That's a whole video that I'm going to have to make, a bit like this one. But without trying to sound cliched, journeys start with single steps, don't they? So keep taking steps. Vegan power. It really is a good thing to do, not just for yourself, but for the world. And if you really care, you know, if you really care, if you do love animals, then when you strip everything down, take away all the layers, you know, it's as bare bones as not wanting to see suffering, not wanting to cause it. And so I'm always talking about this. My final point, my final tip will be, think about your spending and try not to pass on a debt of shame with every penny or pound you spend. Try not to pass on a debt of shame with every penny, pound or dollar you spend. Think about who gets the profit and where it goes. And whilst it's not easily feasible in today's day and age that every pound, penny, dollar you spend will go towards the good guys, if you can make those choices, then that's where the power lies. Because if you could imagine nobody went into McDonald's tomorrow, or like I said, it's progressive. Imagine over the next 10 years, less and less, fewer people end up going to McDonald's, and more people end up buying from ethical vegan suppliers, then it's a no-brainer, isn't it? McDonald's will falter and fall, and the ethical vegan suppliers will grow. So make those first steps. Change cow's milk for soya milk, but don't give up there. Later on, I mean, I haven't got there yet myself, but I'm hoping that in the next few years I can find ethical vegan suppliers, people whose companies are run by actual vegans with good ethics, and support them instead of the supermarkets. Cool. I think that's covered it. I don't. It's bedtime for me now, so be good, my little Pukkos. Be good.
No, sit properly like you're gonna mean it, like you mean it.
Hey, you unbelieving kuffar bastards. I'm gonna tell you
No.
What?
What's with the gun?
taught by my dad. If I shut up and listen when he's talking to me, he's got a PhD telling me, shut the fuck up, son. I've got a PhD shutting the fuck up, shut the fuck up, son. Wait till your mom comes. Not mine, not mine. My problem now is getting out, it's getting away, it's getting old.
Oh, what are you looking at?
I'll count to 3. See what his dad taught him. I'm never teaching anyone again. It's the pain of my elders, and they're better. We pay our last respect to the grave, where lays my love to this day, getting away. And if you knew it was making that noise, why don't you stop? Get it all out, put it away. And if you knew I was breaking my toys, why don't you stay? Throw them all out, buy them again. Wait till your mom comes. Not mine, not mine. My problem now is getting out, it's getting away, it's getting old. Wait till your mom comes. Not mine, not mine. My problem now is getting out, it's getting away, it's getting old.
Big enough for you now, buddy. Am I blowing a dog in a ditch?